This program is proudly brought to you by Malta Guinness.
Hello, welcome to the Progressive Woman's Show. My name is Pratt. Well, this is the show for women, women issues, all issues pertaining to women, our development, our well-being, our worldview, everything concerning today's woman. That's the woman of 2022 and 2023. Now, last week we started a conversation. We titled it "The Other Side of Feminism." For so many reasons, not just because the guest is a man and wanted to hear, that perspective, but also because, as a fellow feminist, we still have very strong different opinions about how we can reach our desired destination, of an equal world, a world where everybody is at peace to live and exist, and flourish. That show, interestingly, generated a lot of conversation. We've had a lot of feedback from that show. In fact, I read some of the feedback that we've had. So, Mothers' Lives Matter, and all of these I'm reading is from Facebook. This one says, we need more women in leadership to save Mother Ghana and Africa. This one says, natural instincts, I really appreciate you are too much. I'm guessing this was for Kojo. I'm really enjoying the show. The world needs more education on this particular subject matter. Keep the conversation going. This one says, Kojo is so frank and factual. This one says, Kojo has made my day. You are speaking for us, the silent majority. Well done. Bravo, Gracia. Overkill. Nana Chrissy Apia says, you guys don't know how difficult it is to be a single father. You talk about women all the time. What about we the men too? Richard Larry Tete says, as for feminists, they have only one main argument. They cast the man in a mode of a caricature, and then they consign him to a useless place among the immediate family. I know guys who give their kids the best they can and still deliberately do stuff to make the kids believe, and it goes on and on and on and on and on. Lots of reactions from Facebook. Thank you. I mean, feedback is awesome, so thank you very much for the feedback. Some other people actually reached out to me in my DMs, so I'll see if I can find at least one to read out. This one is from Kinsley Kelvin, and it says, hi Amma, I am watching your program with Kojo on the topic of feminism. I quite enjoy the program because both of you, that's you and Kojo, have yes and no's to your points. Feminism has been misunderstood by both genders, and it has caused even more harm than good, depending on the receiving end. I wish your beautiful program can give room for contribution. I am very sure you will hear so many opinions that you will agree on opposing also and against. Merry Christmas and keep your good program up. Thank you so much, Kinsley, for this. This is exactly the reason why we did the show. Feminism is so controversial. I think it's always been very controversial, and there's no right or wrong, like all other concepts that aim at enhancing the world. There can't be any right or wrong. But particularly for this show, we insist on continuing with this conversation and, sort of exploring as much as we can, so that at the very least we can start off conversations in your homes as well. Start a debate, if possible. So I am happy, to tell you that again, I am in privileged company as D-Man, the morning man from Joy is here again. Kojo Yankson. Hi, Kojo.
Hi, Amma.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, today I'm nervous.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You?
Yes.
Never.
I am nervous.
What, because you've gone back and thought about all the things you said and I said and realized how wrong you are?
Absolutely not. Completely right and still stand by my convictions.
Okay.
But I'm nervous because you've placed me in the middle today. And yes, I'm always nervous when I'm in the middle.
Oh, I like it. So, also joining us for this conversation today is my comrade Blaise, Comrade Blaise Tulo. He is the Accra convener of the Accra collective of the Socialist movement of Ghana. Blaise also is somebody that I've had opportunity to engage on the subject. Oftentimes we tend to be on the same side. As part of activities for the Socialist movement of Ghana, we tend to have some of these debates. They get very heated. We should put some of those on camera, shouldn't we? Very heated debates on feminism and things, and oftentimes Blaise and I, tend to have the same thing. And it's interesting to me, especially because these are two men, hopefully with two different perspectives. Hopefully. Blaise,
yes.
Yeah, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Always a pleasure to sit with you and to discuss matters that concern our people. I'm very happy to be here. And it's exciting to meet Kojo for the first time.
Pleasure is mine, Blaise.
Good stuff. Okay, so I will start with you, Blaise, because you are new to the party. Actually, no, first, welcome to the party.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome to the party. And I'll start with you. So first of all, feminism. What are your general thoughts? And then you watched the show. So what's your initial reaction to me and Kojo, doing our thing as always?
I think the comments showed how fruitful that conversation was. The beautiful thing is for all of us to understand that there are no fixed absolutes. And that when you sit down and have debates about matters that concern people, it's brilliant. And I was very delighted watching all of you, air out your views with the sole objective of improving the discourse on feminism. Because feminism is not a static concept. It has developed over time with the rediscovery of new information, the rediscovery and improvement of our conditions and to make our society better. So I think in the light of that, you had a very fruitful discussion. And I hope that we can continue that discussion today. Before the show began, Kojo made a very important statement which I like to re-echo. He says that what capacity do we have as two men to sit here and talk about women? And I think it is true. We have no such capacity. In the history of oppressed people, the oppressor has never taken the side of the oppressed. And so in the light of that, we have no capacity to lead the discourse on issues that affect women. I think what is always instructive and what is humbling is for us always to listen to the women and see how we can effectively engage with them, in order to make sure that we build a society, that produces and that the products are used to benefit the people. So these are my opening statements.
Right. Great, good stuff. Okay. Today I want us to, perhaps because we have a socialist, good stuff, here. Socialist who also identifies as feminists. So all three of us are feminists. I'd like us to sort of start a conversation around things that come up all the time, like this word patriarchy, because it was an interesting point of our conversation the last time. And today, because Blaise is here, I hope that I wouldn't have to be a panelist. I hope that I can just, moderate. Please make me just moderate. Yeah. So Kojo, I'll start with you. Because patriarchy is such a big issue in any conversation of feminism. What are your views and how? First of all, I know your views, right? But I wish you'd sort of state it in black and white. Then we can have a conversation around.
Okay. Thank you. And once again, Blaise, it's so nice to meet you. And I have to say that I completely agree with everything Blaise said. The existence of feminism it presupposes that there is an oppressor, and in this case, the oppressor is the other gender, the man. So, for its entire evolution, from whenever it is that feminism began, and I think there are examples that go further back, even though we may not have defined them as a movement of feminism. You know, there are women like Cleopatra who bucked the trend, who lived contrary to what people expected, you know, her to live as a woman. There are examples throughout history, but when it became a movement back in the 1800s, just before the 20th century, at that point, there was an identified enemy, the man, you know, and it was important for that to happen, you know, because without identifying the enemy or the problem, there's nothing to fight, there's nothing to rally behind, there's no cause. So a cause was identified, and that cause was pursued, and some gains, big gains were made. I think now we're at a point where, even though there is still more for feminism to achieve, I mean, we are not equal. There are still areas in which women, you know, lack opportunity. They lack access. You know, the playing field is still not level. But I think what has also started to happen, and I don't even want to blame feminism for it, I think it's the natural order of things. As time has progressed, the oppressor who made feminism necessary has also started to develop some issues of his own. There have also started to emerge some areas in which that oppressor is disadvantaged. Now, I don't know whether we are at a point where the oppressor can now also say that the female is their oppressor. Okay, I don't think we are there yet, but I think we are at a point where we just need to say, okay, wait, does this also not hurt men? Okay, we should start asking, does this also not hurt men? Now, you asked about patriarchy. Patriarchy is one of the central bad guys in the feminism narrative. So the idea is that there is a certain overwhelming privilege that men enjoy, and they use it to basically control world affairs to the detriment of women. That's a very loose definition of patriarchy. Is it real? Is patriarchy real? Well, I believe it was real at the time when women couldn't even vote. Women couldn't even be parties to a contract. Women couldn't own property. That was patriarchy. At a time when, if you are a woman, there are certain jobs that you are not even allowed to apply for. If you are a woman, there are certain lifestyle choices that if you make, you are vilified for it. When all these things were happening and they were guided and steered by men, that was exactly what we describe as patriarchy. But today, I think we have some statistics, numbers, and reality that makes the existence of patriarchy not questionable, but its impact on women is now questionable. Whether indeed women are still victims of patriarchy is now questionable. Let me explain. So, what are the disadvantages women complain of today? Wage gap. Yeah, there's a wage gap. Women will always say that men are paid more for doing the same work. Okay. We talk about the fact that there is a certain oppression, a power dynamic. Okay, because men are big, strong, they take advantage of that to oppress and suppress women, whether it's in marriage, in even in business relationships, in the workplace. The fact that the man is bigger and stronger means that they can lord things over a woman. So there is a certain I don't even know what term to use to describe that. But women will tell you that, look, I'm afraid to walk down the street at night because I'm a woman. I can't walk down the street alone at night. You know, there is your rights to your own body. Okay, so reproductive rights, because women are different organisms from men. I mean, you are a different gender, so you are built differently. So there are certain rights that are necessary for a woman in order for you to even be able to operate at the same level playing field as a man, right? So reproductive rights, the fact that you should be able to have choice when it comes to your body, whether or not you want to be a mother, whether or not you want to have sex with a man. You have to have the right to make these decisions. Okay, so the suggestion is that patriarchy makes it hard for all these things to happen. All right. Okay. Victims of violent crime. That's a very big one for me, and that's what I was trying to describe when I talked about women not being able to walk, alone in the dark. Women talk about how they are victims of violent crime, rape. I mean, how many men get raped?
Femicide.
Exactly. Yeah. Femicide. Women being killed just because they are the woman in a relationship. So all of these things come together to form what we describe as patriarchy. So the question is, are men really controlling this world? Are men really controlling the world of 2022? Okay, let's look at some details. Let's start with the wage gap. Even though for years we have been told that women are paid less for doing the same job that men do, studies or productivity studies, have demonstrated that in any job where a woman and a man are on the same scale, it is determined that a man works more hours than women. Typically, men work more hours in the same job than women. So if they are being paid more, is it unfair?
I find that very questionable.
No, it's a fact.
Because
the reasons are obvious.
Kojo, let's and I like the fact that we always use the term real world. Let's come back to the real world.
Yes.
If our starting hours are 5 and our closing hours are 9, both men and women are coming in at 5 and closing at 9. So how do you come to a conclusion that men work more hours than women?
Yes, I mean, any day that you and I both turn up at work,
Yeah.
we'll work the same amount of hours.
Yeah.
But I'll turn up for more days than you. That's what the studies say.
Perfect.
Okay.
We are getting some.
Or even the quantity of work.
Exactly. Because of my, depending on what type of job it is, because of my unique biological situation, I may be able to do a larger quantity of the work than a woman, even though we are both working
at the same time.
hours. Okay. Now, by the way, let's also be fair. Larger quantity of work doesn't necessarily mean more productive. That's not what it means. Okay. However, in many cases, it is easy to draw that correlation. So then the facts don't lie. Even though when we both turn up,
and we are generalizing because we are saying that this answers any type of work. It doesn't matter.
I think
the specific field.
I'm glad you pointed out.
It doesn't matter because different fields have different requirements.
That's true.
And men and women, because of the differences that we have, tend to give up more or less based on the specific field.
I'm glad you pointed out that we are generalizing. I think we have to hold that as a constant throughout our whole conversation. We are generalizing.
Right.
There are exceptions.
Right.
There are exceptions, but we want to talk about the rule because that's.
For me, this is not the rule because there are some specific work sectors that women just simply
and
put in more than men.
Those specific work sectors will be the exceptions.
No, they can't be the exception. Why would those be the exceptions? Let's go to the market.
There are more men.
How is the activities that happen in the market and exceptions when you?
There are more men in the formal workforce than women. Where we claim there is a wage gap, we don't say there's a wage gap in Makola. We don't. The places where we say there is a wage gap, there are more men working there than women.
Let's take an advertising firm.
Yeah, any typical advertising firm today. Do you know why there are more men working there than women? Because still in this world there are more educated men than women.
Thank you.
So Amma, The point I'm making is this.
Thank you. You just made my point, Kojo.
Actually, I don't know what your point
yes.
is. I don't know what your point is, but if I may complete mine. Look, there are more men in the workforce than women. So if, for example, you take an advertising firm, you will find that there are more men there than women. So anything that we see here, if we are talking about the rule, it is more men than women. That's the rule. Okay? There are certain areas, certain industries where there are more women than men. But those are fewer than the industries in which there are more men than women.
Nursing.
Yes.
Healthcare.
Uh-huh.
Let's talk about that industry.
Okay, bricklayers.
Let's talk about teaching.
Let's talk about electricians. Let's talk about drivers.
Electricians.
Let's talk about security guards.
No. Now you are veering into my Makola example. My market.
But Makola is a real example. I would never discount Makola from the list.
Yeah, but
so why would you want to discount electricians?
Hold on, you're saying that
the fact is that there are more industries in which men dominate. There are more.
No, I disagree.
Okay, fine, Amma.
Today
I vowed that I'm not going to debate reality with you. As for reality, I can't debate with you. As long as you say I disagree that it's daytime, I won't win. So I will leave those ones to you. I will leave those ones to you. Let me get back to my point. Is there a patriarchy?
Yes.
All right.
Absolutely there is.
So we're talking about the wage gap. There are more men doing the job than women. If the men are working longer hours than women, they are doing physically more volume of work than women, then is it unfair to pay the men more than you pay women? That's the question I'll leave for the wage gap. Let's talk about violent crime.
Right.
Okay. There are more male victims of violent crime than women.
Perpetrated by other men, perpetrated by women.
Whoever the perpetrator is.
Yeah, but the instances of women is perpetrated by men.
It is being a victim that makes the feminist movement identify patriarchy as the enemy.
No, Kojo,
if it is not the fact that women are victims of violent crime,
so hold on.
Why would patriarchy be identified as a threat to women? You
are completely misunderstanding that point. And let me clarify, Kojo. There are violent crimes perpetrated against all genders by mad people generally. So let's say somebody walks into a school compound and starts shooting randomly. Chances that it could be a man, it could be a woman that's shot. So those ones are general. If all of us suffer that.
Yes.
Right? All of us suffer that. But in the instances of women, men continuously perpetrates violent crimes against women. That's the whole point. Perhaps women are not perpetrating violent crimes against men.
All right.
That's the conversation.
Thank you for clarifying.
You can't generalize and say because men are more shot by other men, it negates the arguments against violent crimes.
May I go back to my point?
Right.
Okay. There are more male victims of violent crime than female. That's the point I'm making. And if I may continue. I'm in
no position to argue with that fact.
Very good. So may I now continue?
Continue.
All right. Okay. So since there are more male victims of violence,
according to Kojo, I haven't seen that statistic. By the way, I have not seen that statistic.
Okay, I'll share it with you.
Please do.
Unless you genuinely think.
I don't.
More women
I don't think that you're lying.
Beaten and killed in this world than men.
More women get beaten than men.
That is not true.
More women get beaten than men.
There are far more fights between men
and men.
Than there are men and men.
Yes,
than there are between men and women. That
has nothing to do with patriarchy, Kojo.
You see, Amma, that's the point I'm making to you. In order for you to insist that patriarchy exists, you have to ignore all the male victims.
No.
That's the only way for you to insist that patriarchy exists. But Kojo, if you accept that there are more male victims of the things that women are complaining about, there are more male victims than there are female, then you understand that there is a problem that needs to be solved across board, not just patriarchy.
No, Kojo, you are completely wrong for that.
Okay, fine.
Kojo, if men are killing men,
yes,
men will be killing women. That's a general. So like I'm saying, they have violent crimes that are not engendered.
We should just stop men from killing women.
No,
that's not killing men.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that
hold on, Kojo, with me.
Crimes are crimes. I'm saying that let's not confuse crimes with engendered crimes. Patriarchy is looking at gendered crimes where men are
only looking
consistently
at gendered crimes?
Because all of us are looking at all other forms of crimes. We are all speaking up against terrorism. We are all speaking up against
the reason why you are only
going into a school and randomly killing people. We are all condemning those ones.
But if that was enough, there would be no need for feminism. Because we are all condemning it. It's a crime to beat someone.
Yes, but we are saying that gendered crimes are avoidable.
But which crime is not avoidable?
No.
Which crime is not so it's unavoidable that men will kill each other, but it's avoidable that men will kill women.
Kojo, you are deliberately misunderstanding the point.
Okay, then please explain it to my deliberate understanding.
Please, I will. I'm sorry, Blaise. Please, you will come in a minute. There are crimes generally in the world that we all condemn. Genocide, war crimes, we could go on, robbery, we could go on and on and on and on. Those ones exist. We are saying that it's harder for the woman because in addition to all of this that all of us are suffering, she also has to go back to her house and deal with her husband that can slap her at will because society permits it.
Which society
permits it? And so patriarchy is about that.
Society permits it?
This society.
Ama, let me tell you,
this society.
Point blank, even in my village, nobody permits a man to beat a woman.
You are telling me, Kojo, on this program today that you don't know that domestic violence is real.
Please, I want you to
Kojo,
hear my words.
Are you saying that domestic violence is not real?
You can't hear me while you are disagreeing with something I didn't say. I didn't say that. Do you want to hear what I said?
Yes.
I said even in my village, nobody will allow a man to beat a woman. It doesn't mean it doesn't happen. It happens. You have to go to my village, probably down the road.
Thank you.
Yes. The fact that it happens doesn't mean that it's allowed. The fact that it happens doesn't mean that it is approved of.
Our only concern is that it happens.
Not frowned upon. That should not be your only concern.
Our only concern is that it happens.
You know what also happens?
Not that it's allowed.
You know what also
happens?
If the only thing that matters is that it happens, then it happens to more men than it happens to women. So can we just drop it?
Okay, Kojo. Considering that
the only thing that matters is that it happens. More men get beaten than women.
You don't live on earth.
More men get beaten than women. There are more male victims of violent crime than women. So if all that matters is that it happens, then please let's forget feminism because it happens to more men than women.
By women beat men more than men beat women. Kojo, is that your argument?
That's not what I said.
But that's the argument, Kojo.
There are more men in prison. Look, there are more women in the world than men, but there are more men in prison than women. Do you understand what that statistic means?
Exactly, Kojo.
Do you understand what that statistic means?
About leveling the playing field, you see, this for me is the whole point.
What that means is that the playing field is already more than leveled. It means that the perpetrators are being dealt with. Because it doesn't matter whether you beat a man or a woman, it's a crime. That's why men are ending up in jail. So you don't have to now come and repeat the argument that men are perpetrating more crimes against women. The system is dealing with it.
Hold on, let me ask you a simple question.
Because it's wrong.
Let me ask you a simple question. Simple question. There are crimes and they are being dealt with. Would you say that we should create a special category of men who abuse children?
When you say special category, I don't understand. There's already a law against it.
But there's a law against it. Categorization
with by the law.
But that's categorization. We have categorized victimizing children separately for a reason.
We have categorized stealing cars. We have categorized fraud.
I'm done.
They are all categorized.
I'm done here.
I don't know what you mean.
Because we appreciate that in as much as generally there are crimes.
Yes.
There are crimes against women.
I know that.
And there are crimes against children.
Yes.
And because that's the vulnerable, they have to be protected. Patriarchy.
That's the vulnerable.
Yes.
Look, these patriarchs.
Because we are back to this issue of physical strength that is so brilliantly spoke about last week.
What do men use their physical strength for? They use it to serve women.
I disagree. Blaise, please come in. If you leave me and Kojo.
We'll deal with that.
If you leave me and Kojo,
I'm dying to hear from Blaise.
Okay. So, this is exactly what patriarchy is meant to do.
Right.
To divide men and women. And that is the purpose. That the problem of patriarchy is men against women. So the debate will be unending. Because then the analysis is not systemic.
Thank you.
Capitalism creates conditions for confusion and division. It does that all the time. Okay? Pitch women against men without extracting systemic analysis. We don't have one kind of feminism. Feminism is a product of the system that dominates. So, under capitalism, what is the response to address patriarchy? It's liberal feminism. And what is the response of liberal feminists against patriarchy? Hey, men are those at the top. Okay? So how do we solve the problem of men at the top? Let's push more women at the top. It doesn't matter what men are doing at the top, is not where the analysis is. It's just to keep women at the top. But you can keep women at the top who instigate wars that affect more women than men.
I agree.
No. So class analysis is missing. You understand? My view is that patriarchy affects both men and women.
I agree.
Patriarchy affects both men and women. The reason why a man has to be strong is because the society says that a man has to be strong. In reality, men are not stronger than women.
Thank you.
The history of wars were not fought just by men alone. Women have gone to wars. So men cannot be biologically stronger than women. That is a historical lie. But the system says that, hey, for you to be a woman, you have to be strong. Hey, you have to be docile. You have to be kind. You have to have mercy. You have to have compassion. But for you to be a man, you have to be strong. And that's why men will die before women. And that is symptoms of patriarchy.
Right.
It's not. So what capitalism does is to make us hover around the symptoms. It doesn't let us address the root cause of why there are differentiations in struggle. Here is my view. In the whole global analysis of our society, you have to look at two major things. Production of our material life, how we eat, how we have to sustain our life and all that. And reproduction, how we bring forth ourselves to continue to exist. In production, in every sphere of life, men are at the center. Men are leading the course of production. They have more resources. Even if it is the women that are enjoying the resources behind, it is men that are at the center of production. What capitalism does is that it negates reproduction. It says that reproduction has no value. And that's the discussion you guys had last week, that the housework, how to carry us in the stomach for 9 months, is not work. That when the worker appears, when Kojo goes to work and he looks all glowing, that the work that happens in the house,
who washed the shirt,
to allow him go to
the trousers,
yes, to allow him go to work, the system doesn't.
The woman who made the soap that he used.
Exactly. It doesn't pay attention to that. So the only thing that makes sense to me in the discussion around patriarchy is class. Men and women of the upper class puts in policies that affects men and women of the working class. The neoliberal economic structure that has engendered more children and women was put in place by one Margaret Thatcher, who is a woman. The debate and the contradictions I have is that in the struggle for total emancipation, should we celebrate those victories? That is a debate for us to have.
And that's a debate we have a lot.
We normally have.
Because I think we should celebrate.
Exactly.
And you say no, we shouldn't celebrate.
I mean, I'm not sure.
Right.
When a woman raises to the top, in one breath, I'm happy. In another breath, it's still the same system of exploitation and oppression. And women oppress men also, if they're in the higher class.
But I insist that for representation's sake.
Yeah, But
it's
also,
important that we celebrate our small
one
wins.
aspect that we also have to pay attention to is the aspect of struggle. The state in which women have reached today in the struggle against patriarchy was not waged by men, it was waged by women. All the successes that has been chopped. Go and look at all the United Nations resolutions that dealt with women issues. There's an article famously entitled Gendering the Agenda of the United Nations. It tells you point by point why all the successes for even women to have the right to vote, women had to push it in the United Nations. They had to hold placards and demand for rights for women. So women did not reach where they are today on the basis of, the magnanimity of men and all that. It came through struggle.
Right.
And I think that it is still struggle that will advance women's cause into the next line.
Right.
All the debates that you and Kojo are having, very productive, but they all border on the symptoms of what patriarchy produces. Pitching men against women. Women are the problem. Men are the problem. They are symptoms of capitalism that individualizes our struggle.
Thank you.
Individual struggles.
I like that.
I know a woman now they say, in fact, and it is true, it's a fact, and that's why Kojo is giving you some facts. Now they say that even cheating, that there are more reports of women who cheat.
What men can do, women can do better.
Yes, exactly. They say there are more reports of women who even cheat in marriages
Ladies and gentlemen,
than men are. You see, but why are women cheating? Why are women in marriages cheating? Because they also have the capacity to cheat.
Thank you. Capacity. Thank you.
Yes. Why should it be that it is men that can cheat and women cannot cheat?
Right.
All of us, men and women alike, with the indiscipline of the system, have the tendency to cheat.
Right.
And some people were not created to cheat, and some not created to cheat. That's what we should know. The other one that I want to make with my last point before I allow Kojo in is to look at the family system. And if you read the origin of the family, private property, and the state, the marriage institution entrenches patriarchy.
Thank you.
Marriage entrenches. In fact, it's the foremost institution that brings all patriarchy to bear. It exposes all the, contradictions of the power inequality between men and women.
Thank you.
What happens in the family? And you don't need, again, if you come and tell me that I know a family where the woman abuses the man and that the woman is in control and all that, that does not negate the family system, the marriage institution, as an institution designed to oppress women. It doesn't. Because you can also have multiple examples of men who abuse women. So it's not like that. But you need to just look at the system, institution.
Thank you.
A man has to go and pay bride price. Why is the man paying the bride price? And the woman is presented to the man as a property.
Right.
So the woman becomes a property.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. So that marriage institution endorses patriarchy. Okay. Of course, for every institution that has contradictions within it, there are bound to be repressions. In Zambia, I understand that women have now begun pouring hot water over their husbands when they are sleeping. And then all the men are haywire. Then you say that men are oppressing women. But look at what women are doing to it. Is systems of domination of women that is causing a kind of reprisal by women to attack men. You understand? So the marriage institution.
Sorry to catch you, but this is even frontal.
Yeah.
Women have been rebelling behind the scenes.
For years.
People have died poisoned by their wives for centuries.
Exactly.
And nobody will ever know and have that conversation.
Yeah. So marriage, private property, is so important for you to understand how patriarchy works. But for me, it is always about the class analysis.
Thank you.
Class analysis and
Blaise.
struggle,
Thank you, Blaise.
underlines all this.
At this point, I feel like clapping for you, Blaise, and only because for me, and this is something that I've said to you, Kojo, over and over and over again. The patriarchy conversation is never about individuals and their experiences, and I insist all the time that it's about a system. Kojo, you bear me out. This is something I say all the time. It's about a system, right? If there's a system that supports the inequality of, or supports an advantageous position for one gender against the other, that's a problem. I mean, there can't be any two conversations about that.
Just to say that,
right?
Capitalism cannot thrive without patriarchy. Patriarchy is so important for capital, because look, the worker, and I think I made that point already. But there's an intersectionality between patriarchy and capitalism. Capitalism relies so much on patriarchy for it to survive, because, like I said, reproduction, domestic work are not considered productive.
Right.
So, but they are productive.
Thank you.
And if they are productive, capital refuses to pay for the work that is done in the realm of production. In the realm of reproduction. But reproduction and production form our entire basic.
That's why we are alive.
That's how we are alive. Production and reproduction. And also, you guys mentioned culture the last time.
Yes.
Which I thought that we can spend time on. Culture plays a very key role. Culture,
we will come back to
media,
that. Hold on
religion, the laws are all designed to ensure that, private property triumphs.
And if I were a quiz master at this point, I'll give you 1,000 points as against 0 for Kojo. At this point, we'll take a quick commercial and make me right back.
This program is proudly brought to you by Malta Guinness.
Welcome back from the break. This is still the Progressive Woman Show, and we are still continuing with our conversation around feminism. We've titled it The Other Side of Feminism. I am in the studios with two of my favorite men, Kojo Yankson and Blaise Tulo. Kojo.
Thank you. I see how excited you
I am.
listening to Blaise. I have to say I was too. I really enjoyed his contributions.
Okay.
And there are a couple of things I wanted to highlight from what he said. But before I do that, I just want to check that you agree with everything Blaise said.
So let me tell you what I agree with. I agree about the fact that patriarchy is systematic. So it's a whole system that needs to be smashed. It's not about individual lives and individual. And this is the point I've always had, Kojo, you bear me.
So you agree?
I completely agree.
Blaise
not
said.
everything. We have our disagreements, me and Blaise.
Okay, so there are some things he said you don't agree with?
Yes.
Like what?
For instance, representation. I'm big on representation.
Okay.
I think that.
But you agree when he says, for example, that patriarchy affects both men and women?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, good.
Which is the reason why I insist that all of us need to be feminists, because we are trying to smash a system that works against men and women. All of us.
Okay. Then I'm really glad Blaise is here. Because, this is what I was trying to tell you yesterday. The last time we had this conversation. It's been a while now, about a week. This is all I was trying to tell you.
But even this morning, you sent me some of those...
Yes, I did. Because, patriarchy makes victims of both men and women. And I have already established with statistics that it makes more men victims than women. So if we are both victims, how can we be each other's enemy? If we are both victims, how can we be each other's enemy? This is all I was trying to say to you. Every example I gave the last time we talked, when I talked about marriage and how it disadvantages men, I was pointing to the thing you call patriarchy, right? What it is a system that makes disadvantage for both genders. And marriage is a perfect example of such a system. Okay? And all I tried to say to you was that, yes, women are at a disadvantage when it comes to marriage, but men might be at a bigger disadvantage. And
we disagreed there.
I tried to make my point. But the general rule I was trying to establish with you is that the thing you call patriarchy is a system that disadvantages us both. Okay, so if you decide that to solve it, you are going to take further, you are going to create further disadvantage for men to the advantage of women. You are not solving patriarchy.
Perfect. That's the point.
You are just increasing male victims.
The suffering of men.
All right. Now, another thing that Blaise said, and when he said it, I saw you nodding and agreeing, and I was so excited. He said that historically, men are not stronger than women.
Yes,
that's the fact. Men are not stronger than women.
Yes, Kojo, and we argued about this last week.
Actually, no. That's not what we were arguing about. And you see, that's why I say that I choose my words carefully. And I wish you would hear what I say, not what you
I want to hear. Let me help you.
Because these were my words from last week. Men are required to be strong. That's what I said. I didn't say men are stronger than women.
And I said women are required to be strong.
You said women are required to be strong. I said no. Men are required by society to be strong because a certain role has been assigned to them. And as a result of the assignation of that role, they are required to be strong. And so women look for men who fit that role. When they are picking a partner, they want somebody who fits the role that has been assigned to men. They want someone who is big and tall so he can protect the cave. They want someone who is big and tall so he can work hard. He can till larger, tracts of land to grow more crop. He can run fast and catch rabbits. He can fight bears and lions when they come. So women are interested in being near a man who can provide. It's genetically ingrained in us. And I'm sure society has also multiplied and amplified these views. And that is what Blaise was referring to.
But none of this contradicts what I said. Applies to women as well.
Well, yes,
right.
That's the
society
point.
also ascribes some requirements.
So the question is, in the end, if this is a debate about who is suffering more under patriarchy,
right,
women can't win that argument anymore.
Now
let me continue. So Blaise said men are not stronger than women. In spite of this biological truth, men are required to be strong by society. That puts men at a disadvantage.
No arguments here.
Okay, that puts men at a disadvantage. Then there was something else he said.
Disadvantages women more.
There was something else that Blaise said. He said that there is value in the contribution of women in the household. That is another thing that you thought you were arguing with me about last week, because again, you didn't hear my words. So you remember that we were talking about how in most civilized societies, and I think it might even be synonymous with capitalist societies, the law expects that a woman who is contributing in the household is not assigned as much economic value as a man who goes out to earn money and brings it in. Economic value.
Right. No disagreements here.
Yes. Now, you remember that when you said that, I said to you that actually, if there is a divorce between a man and a woman, the determination of what the man and the woman get should not be based on how much housework the woman did. Because if even all the woman is doing is supporting the man, giving him funds. You remember I said this?
You said that.
When the man comes home, all she does is she's like, oh, Gadi, Charlie, you work hard, or you've done well. And that makes the man feel confident and competent, and he goes out and works even harder and brings more home. The woman has contributed.
But we contribute way more than that.
Ama,
Kojo.
you see, because you are hearing something I'm not saying.
I'm
That's why you keep cutting it before I make my point.
No, Kojo. I'm always worried of oversimplification of the roles of women.
Ama,
that's why I keep
you haven't heard me out.
Because we tend to devalue the woman's contribution, Kojo.
What I'm saying is that if you apply economic value to the role of a woman, the fact that as soon as you introduce the word value, you also introduce the word comparison. Because value is not the same. Do you understand?
I guess.
So the question is, if you are introducing the word value, then the question is, okay, so whose value is more? If you take a household, in which a man is going out and working and bringing $200,000 a year, and the woman is doing housework. Can you price the woman's housework at $200,000 a year?
But most men are not bringing in $200,000 a year.
So let's say most men are bringing in $20,000 a year. Again, can you price if the man was going out? Listen, if the man was going out to wash dishes in someone else's house, to babysit someone else's child, would he be making enough to look after the whole family? So if you apply economic value to the work that a woman does in the home, you put her at a disadvantage.
No, I don't.
So the
because
best
she's
thing
not doing
to do,
one thing. She's not doing just dishes or just baby. She's doing them all.
The best thing to do is
she's working like 6 jobs in one.
The best thing to do is to value the support a woman gives to a man, not only through housework. Because if you do it, you see, if once you create a finite measure, then we have to be scientific. We have to take your cleaning of the dishes and value it. If you go out and clean the dishes, how much will they pay you for? That's your contribution. If you go out and you scrub floors, how much will they pay you for? That's your contribution. If you go out and you babysit, how much will they pay you for? That's your contribution. Then you take that and you compare it to what your man earns, and if indeed it's equal, then when you divorce you can share half. If it's not equal, then you can't get half. That's the reason why I want us to avoid that economic value assignation. Anything a woman does in a family is valuable. Anything you do is valuable. If you bog it down and start doing work, what's the name of the thing that you do in the socialist work, the time work balance or whatever the thing is called, the measure of. If you start doing that, you lose. So for me, everything a woman does in the household is valuable. Everything a man does in the household is valuable. If you do it that way, then if the man goes to work and he comes home and he comes and helps you in the kitchen, he's reducing your value. If he comes and carries the baby, he's reducing your value. Is that fair? That's the reason why I say avoid assigning economic value.
Then can we avoid it across board? Can we avoid the man or society holding up you going to work as being more valuable than you staying at home? Can we avoid that whole conversation altogether?
Amma, everything comes at a cost.
I agree.
All right. So if I, as the man, I go out and I work and I bring a certain amount of economic value to the household, what's the reward for that? What's the reward for it? You are also bringing a certain economic value to the household. What's your reward for it? So if I am going, I'm working, I'm earning money, when I come, I pay for your hair, I pay for your shoes, I pay for your clothes, I pay for your food, right? I pay for everything you need, because you are not earning income from outside. Your value is in what you do in the house. So I am bringing this value and I'm using it on you, right? I'm using it on the child. Very often to my detriment, because I won't spend as much on my hair as I'll spend on you. I won't spend as much on my clothes as I'll spend on yours.
Debatable.
I won't spend. Let's stick to what is the norm.
Okay.
I won't spend as much on myself as I'll spend on my spouse. When I die, because I die earlier, I'm a man, the rest of it comes to you.
Okay, but Kojo, here's what's the disagreement. And for me, this is the main point. The main point is that this example that we are given is not even our reality today. Today's reality is that when the husband leaves home for work, the woman leaves home for work. However, the woman still has to come back and be the domestic provider. So she's not only providing actual cash to the home directly, she's also providing all these other valuable contributions that can be quantifiable in cash, like I'm saying. So the woman's role is actually 10 times. I don't know. That's why I say that the woman's fight is harder. When you leave for work, she leaves for work. She's not home taking care of the children. But when you come back to the home, she's still the one that's cleaning. She's still the one that's cooking. She's still the one that's providing and all of these things. And so not only is she contributing financially to the home directly, she's also contributing financially to the home, even through the provision of the domestic work. That's our reality.
So Amma, here's where the men again fall at a disadvantage. Because while you have domestic contribution as well as economic contribution from outside, because you are working, I also have economic contribution from outside and domestic contribution. Remember,
not in all cases, Kojo.
Remember, Amma, you said we should talk about what is happening today.
Yes, today.
Then let's talk about what's happening today.
Yes, today.
Men are washing dishes. Today, men are cleaning babies and looking after children. Today, men are, in addition to all that, also providing security in the home.
That's the destination. For some of us, we are there. Others are not there yet.
So let's talk about what is prevalent. What is prevalent? So if you insist that it is prevalent now that women are also bringing in economic value, then you also have to accept that it is prevalent now that men are providing domestic value.
Men are coming along gradually.
Oh, Amma. Why do you want it to seem as if...
Men are coming along that journey gradually, Kojo. No man is hurriedly going to do dishes. No man is hurriedly going to change the baby's diaper. Kojo, let's be real.
The thing that pains me is that if we were to make this a debate about who is better, then you would win. Because I have to agree that even by design, women are better than men. And I can go back to the example I gave of how there are more women in the world than men, but there are more men in jail than women. Women are just better than men. That is accepted. That is the reason why men are working for women. That's what we do. We work for you. Look, in any eventuality...
So who are we working
for? I don't know. In any eventuality, women are protected. Men are not. In fact, we are the ones doing the protecting. Do you think when the men on the Titanic decided to allow all the women to survive so that they would drown, do you think they felt like, yeah, we are oppressing them now?
And no, because you know the value.
Do you think that if the women had been
allowed to die,
patriarchy knew my heart will go on as he was drowning and sinking.
All of mankind
was praising himself for being superior.
Let's be real.
Men may be idiotic enough to think that they are superior to women, but the reality bears out the fact that this world is run by women.
Kojo,
you play the role you wish to play in this world.
Kojo.
Whatever role you wish to play, that's what you play. And as we play along thinking it was our idea, it was not. It never was. Everything about our construct, it is fueled and pushed by the feminine agenda. Let's go all the way back to the beginning of civilization, when men and women lived in caves. Let me give you a scenario of how things probably evolved. I wasn't there, but it was probably something like this. So men and women live in caves. So a man gets up, he goes out, he goes into the forest. I mean, yeah, by whatever reason. Men, go out there into the forest, hunt, get some rabbit or whatever, and they are bringing it back. Woman is standing in the cave watching man as he comes back with his rabbit. Man 1 has 4 rabbits, man 2 has 1, because man 1 is bigger, taller and faster than man 2. So he caught more rabbits than man 2. Woman wants rabbit to eat. Who do you think woman is going to approach and go and bat her eyelids and convinced to be invited to dinner in the cave? Is it not man 1, bigger, taller, stronger with more rabbits? So if that happens and all the women are going towards man 1, man 2 starts to feel a little bit left out. So he says, you know what? This polygamy thing, it doesn't really work for me. I think we should have a system called monogamy. Every man should be entitled to 1 woman. So that after the man with 4 rabbits gets 1 woman, there are some left for me, even though I'm not as big and strong as him. So suddenly this system comes along and we think, oh, it is men that are creating monogamy. But actually, men are creating monogamy because of women.
So you'd rather polygamy?
I'm not saying I'd rather polygamy. I'm simply stating the way the world is. That everything we do is fueled, motivated, rewarded by women. Everything is run by women.
I could make the same arguments about how everything is run by men.
Everything is run by women. Even the fact that there are more men in the workplace today than women, it's an indirect decision of women.
No, that's completely.
It is.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Today, in the civilized world, there is no job that women are not permitted to do. From being in the army to whatever, there's no job that legally a woman is not permitted to do.
Right.
So if there are more male engineers than women, it's a choice that women are making.
Let's have that conversation. So I have a friend, Nanekia. Oh God, I mentioned her name.
Hi, Nanepia. You are our exception.
Oh my
for today.
goodness. Right. So she tells a story of growing up in a household where she was the only girl. She was only, among lots of brothers. And every day she'll be waking up first before. Mind you, she's not the firstborn, she's not the lastborn. She's in between there somewhere. They'll wake her up early, right? Actually, the mom would wake her up early and ask her to get the house in order. So she would sweep the house, she would, clear the rubbish, get to the kitchen. If there was any leftover work in the kitchen from the day before, she'd go and do all of that while the brothers are still sleeping. Now, she'll be doing that while they will start waking up. So obviously, they will start going to take their baths. Mind you, should have to go and boil water for everybody. So she'll boil a big bowl of water. And brother one would come with a bucket and scoop a little bit and go and take his bath. But while she's still sweeping and getting the house ready, all her brothers will finish bathing. Now it's time to make breakfast. Guess who's making the breakfast? Right? She's making breakfast. The brothers are getting ready. So she finishes making breakfast. The brothers will come and eat. And then they will start going to school. She now has to finish making breakfast and then make lunch or warm lunch, whichever way, and pack them into the bowls so they can all take to school. Now, by the time they get to school, she's tired. She can't concentrate. She's sitting in that classroom and all she wants to do is sleep because she's been up since dawn, sweeping, cooking, everything. Now, if you tell me that her brothers and her, they have the same opportunities because nobody is preventing her from going to school, I say that is not true.
Okay.
The fact that she's physically allowed through the door doesn't mean they have the same opportunities. They don't.
Okay.
Now, at the end of the term, her brothers will perform well. She will not. Do you wonder why? I don't wonder why.
Okay. So
because even when they go back to the house after school, while the brothers are studying, what is she doing? Getting dinner ready.
Okay.
Now that is the reality of women, most women.
All right, Amma.
That is how our cultural construct has been engineered to work against men. So you say men and women today all have equal access to education. A blanket statement like that. Meanwhile, in reality, that is not our reality. That is not the truth.
Okay.
The fact that I can walk to your door, you can walk to your door, doesn't mean we have the same opportunities.
All right. I think, yeah.
So if he's doing engineering and she's not doing engineering, you can't say both of them have the same opportunities and they can all do engineering. Right. She can't.
May I quickly respond just before Blaise comes in? You see, again, this is another thing I said last week and you were not listening. So, I agree that if both men and women are in an engineering course, attempting to become an engineer, there are barriers that might make that journey harder for a woman than a man. That is an area of inequality we must address. These are the reasons why feminism is still important. But feminism cannot decide that it is its job to go and convince more women that they should be interested in engineering when they are not. Now, let me explain how that applies to your friend Nanekuya. So, Nanekuya is in school. She wants to be educated. She's in education. She wants to be educated. But because of what is happening in her household, she, in her process of becoming educated, is having a tougher time than her male counterparts. That is an important battle for feminism. But in the United States, or in the UK, or in Germany, or in Europe, or in Asia, where we don't have fathers who wake up their daughters and tell them to clean the house before they go to work, even there are more males in engineering than females. Even there. So you see, there are certain things that interest men more than women. It may be culture that has made it so. Whatever has made it so, that is how it is. It may be genetics, whatever it is. That is the way it is. So more men will be interested in certain things than women. Do you know that last year, Legon's intake of lawyers was 73% female? Legon. You are clapping your hands, but it's simply because women, when given the choice, will pick the things that interest them.
But I just gave you an example of how it's not that simple. It's not
but
that
it was,
simple.
But it for medical school, it was 30% female. Do you understand now? The thing that you call discrimination, the things that you call discrimination are often choices.
I disagree.
I'm a 70% female lawyers.
I completely disagree.
70%. So you see, that's why I keep saying that. It's not like there is no need for feminism. There is absolutely a need. There are inequalities that we need to fight, and you've given an example of it. If a woman is interested in something, there should be no barrier to her doing it. But you can't go and tell a woman that you by force you must be interested in this in order for it to be equal. What kind of battle is that? Why is that an interest of yours?
No, Kojo, that is an interest of mine.
No.
Because oftentimes our choices are not really our choices. Unfortunately, and I could give 1,000 reasons. Kojo, I'm Christian because I was born into a Christian home. Is that my choice?
Have you ever seen?
He's Muslim because he was born into a Muslim home. Is that his choice? Really?
Have you ever seen a demonstration of women insisting that they want to be bricklayers?
Kojo, we'll get there. We will get there.
We will never get there.
We will get there.
Because if you don't like it, why do you fight for it? We will get there. If you don't like it, why do you fight for it? Look, more men work outdoors. Why don't we like bricklaying? We like it. What do you want it for? More men work outdoors than women. It is not because women are not allowed. It's not because somebody has told women that this job is bad. It's wrong for a woman to do this job. It's because you don't want it. You don't want it. There aren't women knocking on the door of contractors that I want to be a bricklayer and the contractor is keeping them out. That's not what's happening. You have choice.
Kojo, I'm saying
you have choice of what you're interested in. So if you say that you want to fight for people to be interested in things that they are not interested in, how is that equality? That's oppression.
No, we want to change
that's oppression
mindset.
Look, Amma, if you don't like it, you don't like it. It's not like men are not willing to do it. It's not like men are not willing to clean gutters. It's not like men are not willing to be security guards or soldiers. It's not like they are not willing. They are doing it. The job is getting done. So if you say that no, we must come and fight you so that the job that you are doing, we also do it. It's not like it's being done badly. It's not like men have constructed this world wrong. It's not like all the expertise that has gone into inventions, into engineering, into construction. We have built a universe of beauty for you, and you want to come and stop us from doing it. We have built a universe of beauty together. Men and women have built a universe of beauty together. We have done this beautiful world together. All we are saying is that give us our credit. Give us our credit. I take every credit. Please. At this point, we'll take a quick commercial break. When we come back, Blaise Tulo, who is the very how do I say it? He's like the referee today, and he's like the one that's sort of bringing us all around nicely. We'll have his take on the show. I do hope that you are finding today's show just as interesting as the one before, and I hope that also you will be bringing in your views, because we would definitely incorporate all of that into the conversation. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
This program is proudly brought to you by Malta Guinness. So, you all know your number one beer, Guinness, comes in the bold black bottle. Well, I have great news for you all. Guinness Ghana has now introduced Guinness in cans, so you all can enjoy the bold black liquid for all occasions. It has the same great taste and is made right here in Ghana. With Guinness in a can, now there are more ways you can enjoy your Guinness. Enjoy the same Guinness you're used to, but now in a can for your convenience. Same Guinness, same taste. With Guinness in cans, you can. Same great taste and made right here in Ghana. Drink responsibly. Not recommended for persons under 18 years of age. Not suitable for pregnant women. Don't drink and drive. If you drink, don't drive.